You are now listening to Dear Dope Chick, a weekly podcast created to inspire and energize women to live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Felicia, and here is today's dose of dope. Dear Dope Chick, welcome and welcome back. Are you ready to take some action? For those of you who are new here, who haven't been here in quite a while, or have been down since day one, Dear Dope Chick is an action-based podcast. So what does that mean? That means that every single episode, you are challenged to take one small step that aligns with living life on your own terms. That means you're taking one step today. One step that aligns with the lifestyle that you most desire. I say small, it can be big, it can be mediocre. I don't care how you label it. It is a step in the direction that you've always wanted to go, a step that releases you from the shackles of whatever you were practicing before and opening the opportunities and the possibilities of living life on your own terms to you. It is mindful, it is intentional, it is everything that you have been avoiding practicing up until this point. It is your choice, and it always has been and always will be. So whether or not you decide to do something today is on you. However, I highly encourage you to take some type of action today that aligns with who you are at your core. You owe it to yourself to steer your life in the direction that you've always wanted to go, and you can do that for yourself today. Today's action is to acknowledge and accept your freedoms in life. Even when we feel stuck, even when we feel caged, even when we feel we have no choice, we do. We are free to act accordingly. Sure, there are consequences and repercussions for our actions, but that comes with anything we decide. Everything that we choose has consequences and repercussions. Sulking and complaining about the lack of support that we have in our lives is a choice we are free to make. We can also find freedom in choosing to create our own families and support systems, to choose who we want near and dear to us. We're free to react with hostility towards that person, that person that wronged us, and we are free to step back and think about what we're saying before we say it. There's freedom in saying, enough with this. I'm not seeing the results that I desire, and I'm done with this. There's also freedom in choosing to stay the course, freedom in choosing to pivot, and freedom in asking for help. We are freedom personified, free to think what we want to think, free to feel how we want to feel, and free to live how we want to live. With that comes a level of awareness we must possess to capitalize on this freedom. So, over the course of the week, be mindful and intentional with the liberties you take in your life. It doesn't feel very freeing when we place limitations on ourselves. I can't get it done. I can't do this. You're free to feel that way and say those things about yourself. The question that you can ask yourself in those times is, how am I so sure that I cannot? What have you done to show yourself that it cannot be done? Is there another way? It can also be freeing to say, I don't know how to get this done. I need help. When you acknowledge that there is another option out there, then getting help is another option. It is a sustainable option that can help you get to where you would like to go. Maybe you cannot physically do it and you do need some help. At the same time, that means that you are acknowledging that it can be done. You just need a little help with it, and that's cool. There's also freedom in saying, I don't know what to do right now, but I can figure it out. I always do. In that last statement, you're acknowledging your present limitations without counting yourself out. Very similar to, I don't know how to get this done, I need help. You're also saying, I can figure it out, I always do. Meaning, it can look any type of way. It doesn't necessarily mean that you go straight for the help. Maybe you tinker with this a little bit and you see what's going on, and that's how you find out whether or not you need the help, because you've done a full assessment. This is what mindfulness is about. Looking at how we phrase things, looking at how we say things, and taking a step back and saying, okay, that's really not what I meant. Maybe this is more in alignment with what I mean. Choosing your words wisely is a part of being mindful. Because you are free to do whatever you choose, you can shape and mold your life in any way you see fit. Sure, there are limitations and barriers. There are even unforeseen circumstances and situations that will arise. None of that matters. Situations don't matter. Circumstances don't matter. Limitations and barriers, none of that matters. You are free to allow those things to permanently stop you. And you also have the freedom to accept that they've popped up and to find another way. Our freedoms are not limited. Our mindsets are. When we can adjust how we see and how we look at a situation, we free ourselves to see the infinite possibilities that it brings. We free ourselves to see the opportunities of innovation and invention. When we don't like our current situations and circumstances, we are free to flex our creativity and creatively come up with another way for ourselves, to find another way for ourselves. And at the same time, we are also free to conform and to remain comfortable in our mess. Don't get stuck on how life should look, quote unquote, and get into how it does look. It's a place full of dope opportunities and possibilities to live how you see fit. Hang tight, I'm coming back with my final thoughts after this. Show notes for this episode and all past episodes can be found on adailydoseofdope.com. That is adailydoseofdope.com. Join the community, fam. Every day is full of encouragement, inspiration, and is designed to ignite the flame of passion into action. Enjoy daily texts and emails. Have the opportunity to discuss with other dope chicks and really start the transformation that is living life on your own terms. adailydoseofdope.com. I cannot wait to see you there. So my final thoughts are this. We believe the words we say to ourselves. You say you can't, you're likely to believe yourself. Choosing those words to say about yourself, you've already come into a challenge with a limited mindset, with a level of defeat attached to whatever you're doing. And since you've told yourself you can't, then your actions and your efforts are going to follow suit. Why would you exert a ton of energy and effort on a challenge that you feel you can't crush? That's a setup for defeat from the start. Free yourself from your own mental shackles and the shackles that have been introduced to you by others. Starting from a young age, you may have heard a lot of no, a lot of stop, a lot of don't do that, a lot of you can't. So what can you do? That's the focus now. Self-imposed or not, you've been operating within the realm of those limitations for long enough now. Free yourself from it all. Grant yourself the freedom to abandon what you think you may know about yourself and be open to learning more. Free yourself from the expectations and assumptions of how others should behave and accept them for who they are. Do the same thing with yourself. How you should behave no longer matters. What is should? What does that mean? Free yourself from that way of thinking. Give yourself the space to figure it out. Free yourself from the perfectionistic approach to life. I don't know if perfectionist is a word, but we're using it today. And allow yourself to flunk and fail. Flunking and failing, when renamed and reframed, are nothing more than learning. Give yourself space to learn and to go for what you want again and again. After a life of robotic movements, emotions, and second nature habits, you're learning how to be mindful, how to be intentional, how to show grace, how to listen, how to slow down, how to rest, how to practice patience, how to accept, how to let things go. This is a process, a learning process that takes time, it takes effort, and it takes repetition. It takes you to go in there and to reassess, to look at what you've done and where you've come from, and to decide what direction you want to go next. It takes intention. It takes mindfulness. But those things can never come into play into our lives unless we practice them. The freedoms you are seeking are there and have been there the whole time. Everything you've been looking for has been right here, waiting for you to see it, to acknowledge it, and to implement it. The question is this: are you ready to experience freedom on your own terms? Thank you for being here today. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing out. Thank you for taking action. Thank you for listening, for learning, for implementing, for considering. And most importantly, I thank you for being you. I'll see you in the next episode. For more dope messages, be sure to visit adailydoseofdope.com and become a member. Also, cop your dope merch at deardopechick.com and follow us on all of our social media at Dear Dope Chick, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, be you, be dope. Love, P.